Hounds, welcome back to the hallowed halls of the House of Hounds. You are once again sitting down with greatness. We have Giselle Fernandez. They are the first lady of Zenless Zone Zero, the first banner to be released. We are hyped. We are excited. Let's dig into their lore. Are you ready? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No problem. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to touch a bit on Zenless Zone Zero, and then we're going to talk into your very diverse catalog. You got some heavy hitting properties in there that I'm super excited to talk about, okay?
Right on.
All right, let's do it. So, how did it feel to be the first character on launch for, Zenless? How was that?
I could feel the hype. It was very exciting. It was a little nerve-wracking. But it was great. It was fun because Ellen Jo is such a fun character. She's like, I don't know, she's so much like more shark than I would picture a shark girl off the top of my head, if that makes sense. And I adore that. It's one of my favorite like details of her.
That's awesome.
So it's been very cool to have like gotten to be her and to like see all the hype surrounding her character coming out.
Oh, it's real. I was recently at Anime NYC, and there were so many Ellen Joes walking around.
Really?
Yes. Now I can't say
I gotta look up some. I gotta look up some pictures of cosplay.
and me and my friend were like, how did they put this together so fast? Because they were super detailed. Now,
cosplayers are amazing. Like
yes.
The amount of scavengery sometimes that goes into their costumes and stuff. It's amazing.
100%. And I'm curious, why they weren't lore accurate, because some of them were encouraging people. They're like, you can touch my tail. I was like, don't do that.
No, don't do that. Ellen doesn't want that. But that's cute though. That's fun.
So, talking to the character, how did you come up with, Ellen Jo's voice? And how much of you was present in the character?
It was in session because I got cast as I got cast as like a few like NPC stuff. Okay. Before they were like, also Ellen Jo. And it was pretty cool. It was fun because it's a very big game. There's a lot to this game. And so it was really cool to like get to see just how much the extent of it was all fleshed out from like my first session, like being privy to like scripts of different characters as well as the playable ones.
Yeah.
But Ellen Jo was like, we had finished off another character, and then we were like, all right, so now there's this character, and she's a shark girl, and she can't be bothered, go. And we played around a little bit, but it was fun to just sort of settle into the, like, what Ellen Jo's voice ended up being, which is the, yeah, whatever kind of attitude.
I love it. And, the character, they're there, and I can't even say, like, sassy. They just can't be bothered. But they're still endearing, and it's very cool.
Because her heart's in the right place. It's like, she's like, I can't be bothered for the effort of doing this thing, but I'll still do it because it needs to be done, and you're asking me to do it. Like, it's that attitude of like, yeah, fine,
Yes. And in saying that, you have a couple of very diverse, like, properties under your name. Princess Daisy. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, that was wild. The Princess Daisy is just such a cool character to like even have been considered to voice. But that whole journey. I mean, honestly, where like Super Mario Wonder has been out for how long now, and I'm still like, I still feel like it was a dream a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, Nintendo was familiar with me, and the studio that they worked through was familiar with me through like my Fire Emblem characters. And when they were looking for a Princess Daisy voice, they went, well, that's probably in their wheelhouse, and emailed me going, hey, could you do this? And I went, yeah, please let me do this. and I auditioned. You know, they sent me like stuff to like material to work with to send back. And even told me at the end of one of my sessions recording Super Mario Brothers Wonder was like, my audition was the thing that booked me. It was because I went like 1,000% in my audition that like they were like, that's the energy that we need for Daisy, and then they cast me, which was really cool to find out after the fact. But yeah, that like working with Nintendo on a Mario property as Daisy is insane. It's bonkers and it's wonderful.
Like, did the inner child feel nurtured at that point? Because like I would lose my mind.
To voice a legacy character is always like like a voice actor's dream, you know? And like given that like I growing up didn't play a lot of video games, but I sure as crap knew what Mario was, and I sure as heck played Princess Daisy a few times because I loved her. She was my favorite princess. She was the best princess. Sorry, Peach. But you know.
Oh, that is awesome. That is I can. So I have, dreams of, just dipping my toe in some way in the voice acting world, and I couldn't like imagine landing that type of role. One day.
It could be you. You never know. I'm just a guy, man. I don't know.
I love it. And I also love, just how warm and bubbly you are. Thank you. It makes these
thanks.
interviews so easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're very easy to have a conversation with.
Now, how long have you been in, the acting gang, the voice acting game?
My whole life? Almost?
Out the womb.
As long as I've been able to read. I got glasses and no one was stopping me. No, when I was a kid, I did a lot of commercial work in the voice acting world back in Atlanta, where I'm from, because my father wrote commercials for a living and worked in marketing. And hated having to work with other kids' parents. So he would throw me or my sister into the booth, and I fell in love with it, and ended up pursuing it. So
that is awesome. You know what? I had an ex-girlfriend who was taking these voice acting classes, and she wanted to do I promise we're going somewhere with this, but
for sure.
She wanted to do the Barbie girl song for like her demo reel, and I had to play the role of Ken. It's out there on the internet somewhere. If you find it, good luck to you. I won't deny it. I won't leave you to it.
But you won't lie about it. All right, noted.
I won't lie about its existence.
I got a few of those out there.
Now, you've also worked within, I guess we'll call it, the Barbie-verse. Can you tell us a bit about that?
I love working Barbie stuff because they're just always so much fun to work with. I like video games are super fun, and I love working in video games. But kids animation is where my like passion's at for
awesome.
Voice acting. So getting to do stuff with Barbie has been just such a blessing, such a blast. And the fun thing about Barbie is a lot of the time, especially for like the animated series, even if it's remote, it's still a group session. Mm-hmm. So like often I'll be recording like for a couple of the Barbie properties, I voice one of the younger sisters. And it's nice to like be on a session, being able to hear my other sisters delivering their part of the script, to have something to play off of and react to, which is fun because a lot of the time, most of the time in the world of voiceover, you don't really get that. Yeah,
Okay.
you kind of have to like imagine the other person responding to you.
Okay.
So it's always fun to do group stuff.
Now that's pretty cool. Now, did you find the transition from doing like more of the commercial work into more of like the emotional intensive work of acting? Did you find that transition pretty smooth?
Well, in between those things, I got a theater degree. So, so I don't, yes? uh, I mean, I don't know. They're different things, but they rely on a lot of the same skills a lot of the time. Because with commercial work, you've got 15, 30, 60 seconds to sell somebody something. So you have to be right up front with the energy, with what you're going to deliver them, because they're not here for a whole roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
They're here for, what's the problem? Here's our solution. That's it. That is what you're doing with commercials. And there's a lot of really good like overlapping skill sets for like commercial work. One really good skill for commercial work is having a really like skilled cold read,
Okay.
being able to like read it without having to like prep for it. And that really translates honestly really well to the world of video games.
Okay.
Surprisingly. But to the world of kids animation too, because kids animation is, even when it's grounded, it's still heightened, because kids experience emotions at a like heightened state because they're new to everything.
Yes.
So there's weirdly a lot of overlap.
Okay. That it. So I'm a salesman by trade, right? So the first part of that I definitely understood, but making that transition, that's interesting, and I wonder how I can apply that to my content creation craft or life. That was insightful. I appreciate that. I like approaching things from different perspectives because we all have these diverse backgrounds and different
Yeah.
takes, and I feel as though it helps make us better people the more we can share with each other. So thank you.
Definitely. Well, and especially different artists have different ways of like going about experiencing or producing or creating their art. And it's a very, I feel like, personal experience, but also like on a certain level, there's, I don't know, yeah, there's always something that you can learn from somebody else, because an artist's perspective is always going to be something different. Like everybody has their own way of getting into whatever they're doing.
Now, let me ask, what would be your three big do's or don'ts in terms of like, hey, if you're going to get into voiceover, these are three things you need to lock down, or these are maybe two or three things you should not do, and you can mix and match.
Okay. So a big thing I noticed with like people who are green to voiceover, and it's not just voiceover, it's acting in general. Don't puss out is the mean way of saying it, I guess. Don't be so concerned with how other people are perceiving you in that moment. Commit to the character. Because if you're having a good time doing the character, we'll be having a good time watching you. If you're miserable doing this, if you're embarrassed because all the attention is on you and you're just rushing to get to the end of the script, we as an audience will feel that. And we also will want you to get to the end of the script as fast as you can. So don't do that. Own your time, own what you have, and, milk it.
I love that. That's huge and real.
Well, it's so easy to like get, especially like in classes when they're like, you're not just like at a job, you're surrounded by your peers who do the same thing as you, and that that like even if they're not like judging you, they're judging you.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get like in your head and nervous, and it's so much better when you just own your own your shit.
I like it. Own your space, own the moment. I like it. I like it. I like it. Now, with you being in this space for so long, has there been a property like an anime or a game or just something you're like, I want in on that and I know I can kill it?
I really, really want to be on the Loud House.
Okay.
It's so weird because I live out in LA and everybody out here is a freaking Disney kid because Disneyland is so close and Disney studios are out here and everybody loves Disney and that's fine. I like Disney when they pay my bills. But when I was a kid, I mean, granted, I grew up on Disney shows. I loved That's So Raven, Lizzie McGuire, but for animation, for cartoons, it was always Nickelodeon for me.
Okay.
I was such a big Nickelodeon kid. So to really do anything with Nickelodeon would just be it is truly a goal of mine where I'm like, I have to get in there and I've got to do at least one thing with them because I haven't yet. But other than that, I don't try to have too many set goals of I must achieve this in order to see myself as a successful actor, you know? It's just I want to work with Nickelodeon on animation and then whatever else comes my way.
Listen, me and my wife, we joke about this all the time. I was a Cartoon Network kid. I always had respect for Nickelodeon, right?
But sure, respect for Cartoon Network. I mean, again, I grew up in Atlanta. That's where they're based. So
see, I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go.
But we go back and forth on this one, right? But she won. My son is a huge SpongeBob fan. So if you end up in SpongeBob, expect a DM from me. I can't help it. I would be doing him a disservice if I didn't do it.
Oh my God. I can't, at this rate, I can't even imagine that being possible. That would be incredible. Absolutely. I will text you if that ever happens.
we had this, his birthday party just passed and we had a themed party where everyone had t-shirts and he picked who we would represent. I got Larry the Lobster. You know what I'm saying? Dan still got
it. Them guns. Heck yeah.
He was SpongeBob. It was very cool. He had such a good time. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I got got off track a little bit, but I love it. I love when that happens. Those are the very organic moments.
Now, yeah, I like tangents. Yeah.
Yes. My life is full of them. But now, you are also into content creation, correct?
Say that one more time.
You're also into content creation?
Concentration?
Content creation, streaming?
Content creation! Hello! Yeah, to an extent, I belong to a tabletop role-playing group.
Okay.
That streams on Twitch every other Saturday.
I love it.
So... yeah.
Where can we find it? I would love to check it out.
Twitch.tv/onlyonesTV. One spelled out ONES. Yeah, we play a Brazilian system called Tormenta 20. And it hasn't officially been released in English yet, but we do play it in English.
Okay.
So, because I don't speak Portuguese. Several of our party members do. Our DM does. But I don't. And, so... but it's very fun. You can check out full episodes on YouTube, Only Ones TV there too, if you're interested in checking out the backlog. We also have one-shots in other systems. We have one-shots in the Tormenta system available on the YouTube page. So get in there and check it out if you like D&D stuff.
I love it. And I've always wanted to step into that world. I just have to make time. But, do you guys get into the moment, into the character and really just have that fun?
I mean, yeah, that's the best part.
Okay.
Is getting to have fun and just play with other people,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, thank you very much for sharing that with us. A lot of time with the characters that we pull in like these gotcha games or anything of that nature. We find different things that we can relate to, but now we're in the era of like social media, right?
Mm.
So in social media, we're learning more about the actors. We're learning more about, the voice behind the character. And I feel like there's that extra layer of connection. So when you
Yeah.
guys are, sharing these things, it's pretty cool. Cause it's like, oh man,
Mm.
now, cause like, even when I'm playing the game, now I'm like, okay, I'm more invested in this character.
Aw, yeah.
Because they're a badass. So thank you very much for sharing that and having those commonalities there.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, I'm an actor. My whole job is about connection. So I love that. That makes me so happy.
Now, what are some things that you've come across in the voiceover space where you're like, oh, you know what? I would take another crack at that. I would maybe approach it a little bit differently. Have you ever had that experience?
Oh, of like rethinking an audition or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, a lot of you know the fun part about being a voice actor sometimes is that you never get the "you are not hired on this" email. You only get the "you're hired" email, or "you've been called back." Um, so there have been a couple of times where like it's been like an audition for something that I'm like, ooh, I really, really want that.
Yeah.
Like something I can say is I've auditioned for the animated Harley Quinn show.
Oh,
Uh, did not make it.
what's
I've
up?
auditioned for a couple different characters. But like I watched that show.
Mhm.
So I can see who they cast instead, what choices they made. And like the nice thing about that, and even sometimes like when I'm hearing commercials, I can be like, oh, I auditioned for that one.
Mhm.
That's the direction they went? No wonder they didn't cast me, you know? So sometimes, a lot of the times, it's like, oh, okay, the client had something in mind that was different from what I was delivering or able to deliver. And that's fine, honestly. So I don't try to get too down on myself about like auditions that I don't get.
Okay.
Um, but it can be a fun exercise to like go back and like hear what you did and be like, all right, if I were to make a different choice, what would I do? You know,
No,
let's play. I have to do another take.
I appreciate that. And so I have found that to relate it a little bit, in consecration, you're like, man, I'm going for this sponsorship, or I'm trying to get into this program, and you shoot your shot, and I call it, you're tossing things out into the void. You
Yeah,
don't hear anything back, and you just got to make
yeah,
peace with it. But
yeah,
you see, other creators, you're like, oh, they're in. Okay, what are they doing that's a little bit different than me? How can I change my
right.
process? But I've learned it's like, okay, I just have to be my authentic self, and things that are meant for me will be for me. So,
Yeah.
hearing you say these things, and reason why I brought that question up, because I've had those moments, and it's always nice just to hear how people approach these different things. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
did you change something about your approach? Did you change, what you were, putting out there? And it's like, no, I just realized this is what they were looking for. This is what I can do and what I brought, and it didn't align, and that's okay. And I feel like in this world that there has to be more dialogue about that. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
people can be their more authentic selves. So thank you very much for
Yeah.
that.
It's hard, it's hard being an artist a lot of the time because art is always personal, always, always, always. There's
Yeah.
always a piece of you in it. And so when you're going through, like my whole job, I like to say my job is auditioning. That's
Okay.
my job. And then sometimes I get paid, you know? But that's because that's what I have to do as an actor. I have to grind out auditions so that I can keep getting cast and stuff. And it's not the most fun part of my job necessarily, but it can be fun because I can play with it. And there are times where I get like an audition that I know I'm not gonna book because I know something well enough to know what they are looking for, and I know that I can't provide it. But I'll still play. I'll still play the audition.
Yeah.
I'll still, practice is important. Um, and but yeah, it's hard to not like take personally
Yeah.
the rejection. But if you can find a way to like let that go, that'll bring you a lot of inner peace. Because a lot of people, you know, it's hard. It's hard to like have a part of you um, put out there and have someone say, no, that sucks.
No, no,
But
no. And that's very true. And I very much appreciate that. Now, with, you being an artist, with you, putting out these performances, what would you say your favorite type of role or style? Do you like playing more of like the hero or the villain?
they're both very fun. Um, Golly, they're both very fun. I love playing villain. I love playing villainous characters because they feel like
Yes.
so against type for me. um, but more than anything, I enjoy playing little kids
Mhm.
because their energy is so fun to just like put on for however long and play around in. It's so fun and freeing.
Oh yeah,
um,
like I'll have like a bad day, right? And
mhm.
when I come home and my children greet me at the door, like like my baby girls or my son, that energy is infectious.
Yeah, it
And
is.
and for you to be able to, is there a place where you go back in your mind where you're like, okay, there's the child inside of me, and now I'm going to present that. I'm going to bring that energy out in the performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for me, I find it through like physicality a lot of the time. It's like
Okay.
I have to like sort of hype myself up a little bit and do like a little waggle or like a little to be like, I can move my body however. I'm like a kid. Nothing hurts. Like
Yes.
and just tell myself that a couple of times and then I can like
The moment you said that, I felt back pain and gray hairs. So I
Yeah.
because it's like just go the opposite of that. That's where we want to
Yep.
be. I,
Yeah.
I,
Pretty much.
I now now in saying that, do you often find you're putting yourself into your roles quite often, or is it more transformative, where it's like I'm becoming something completely different?
A little bit of both, you know? I mean, it's becoming something different to yourself, but in order to become, you have to connect.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. So you have to find a way, even if it's like a really horrible character, really villainous character, you have to find some way to connect to them, um, in order to actually embody them, you know? Um, so yeah. I don't know.
No, no, no. I love that. That was really cool. Well, listen, you've shared so much with us. I very much do appreciate it. You know, where
Thank
where can we find you online? Because you have so much going on, and I love it.
I'm not overly active on social media. I have a Twitter account which I do use from time to time. Um, at GZFernVO. If you want to follow me there for role announcements and like stuff like that. Um, but yeah. If you want to look at my website, gzfern.com. But you know, you fun. I know. Yeah, I know.
Well, listen, I appreciate you sharing your time. It has been infectious. It has been bubbly.
Aw.
Thank you so so much. I love these interviews because I feel as though I always come away uh, with like, how can I say this without it sounding weird? Like a piece of like your being or like your energy was like, okay, that was that
Yeah.
experience. Now I can take that with me. That's something I can take into like my day to day, or when I go into my live stream. It's not that I Okay, so there's Joshua, which is me, right? And then there's
Right.
Dreadhound. Welcome, that guy, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
there's different elements that I'm picking up from you guys, and it's putting more into that stream, into that performance, because I want people to have that high energy, that fun, that positivity. So just
Yeah.
getting these different things from you guys who help bring the best part of us to life and these things that we enjoy. So thank you for that. thank you for that, and I'm very appreciative of it.
I'm very appreciative of you. Thank you so much for taking your time to chat with me.
Oh, no problem at all. But once again, you guys have sat down with greatness. Make sure you follow Giselle all over the internet. Support them, show them the love that only the pack can provide, and make sure you stay fierce. Make sure you keep gaming, and welcome to the House of Hounds. We're out.